The King's Avatar, Chapter 1455. Shut Out. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1455. Shut Out. Translator, Gnome Yummy. Editor, Gnome Yummy. 63%. Huang Shaoxin's troubling rain had 63% left. Tang Ru's soft mist had traded 69% of her health for 37% of troubling rains. It was not an equal trade, but if the fight had followed the pace that Huang Shaoxin had set, the trade may have been even worse. In the end, Tang Ru had used her usual style to break throughout Huang Shaoxin's control. Tang Ru was the same Tang Ru, strong-minded and refusing to back down. "You want me to increase the tempo? Okay, I'll do that. You don't want me to increase the tempo anymore? Sorry, I'm going to keep doing it." Rude and stubborn without reason. From the day Tang Ru stepped into the pro scene, that was her playstyle. Countless people hoped to see her fall, but she never did. She continued to do what she did throughout the entire season. Facing Huang Shaoxin, although she lost, she had achieved the outcome she wanted. Even so, did that mean Happy would definitely win? Many people questioned Tang Ru's final words. Troubling Rain had a little more than half his health left. Huang Shaoxin just might be able to win under these conditions. More importantly, who would Happy send out next? Sima Cheng, Chao Yifan, Bao Rongxing, Steam Bun, Wei Chen, Pan Lin and Li Yibo quickly did an overview of Happy's remaining players. Sima Cheng seemed to be the most reliable of the four choices. But the problem was that this map was unfavorable for launchers. Launchers could not display their ultra-long-range advantage. If Happy knew that Blue Rain would choose this sort of map, then they definitely would not have put her in the group arena, Li Yibo said. He implied that he favored having Sima Cheng as Happy's anchor. It would indeed be Happy's most stable arrangement. Unfortunately, the map chosen by Blue Rain erased this stability. This is probably one of the reasons Blue Rain chose this map, to make Sima Cheng useless. Li Yibo said. Who would it be? The crowd members and the viewers at home were waiting nervously. It was as if whoever was chosen would dictate the winner of the group arena. Under everyone's gaze, someone stood up from Happy's player seat and headed towards the stage. Her long hair fluttered in the wind. The Blue Rain fans were wild with joy. For the Happy fans, it was as if a bucket of cold ice had been splashed onto their heads. Sima Cheng. In the end, it was Sima Cheng. The crowd immediately started livening up. Blue Rain's fans had been on the back foot the entire time, but at this moment, they could see the dawn of victory. So Happy really did pick Sima Cheng. Pan Lin sounded somewhat gloomy. Yeah, Li Yibo sighed. The map chosen today by Blue Rain had troubled Happy again and again. Happy had passed through each test, finding themselves in the lead at the final step. However, they were now met with one last obstacle in their path. Launchers. Launchers had an attack range of 40 units. The map itself didn't change the launchers' attack range. However, visibility was limited to 20-25 units, thus, having an extremely long range was pointless. 20-25 unit attacks was still quite a distance. However, for launchers, it was still too close. Launchers had strong AoE and high damage attacks, but their attack speed was very slow. At too close of a distance before the attack went off, it was very possible that the attack would be interrupted. What's worse was that her opponent was the opportunist king, Huang Shaoxin. Thinking of all these points, Blue Rain's fans felt like victory was already theirs. The depression from the previous rounds had been swept away. We didn't know that Happy's final player was Sima Cheng, but Tang Ru should have. Was it not the right move to entrust the win to Sima Cheng on this map? Pan Lin said. What else could she do? Li Yibo said. If she could beat Huang Shaoxin, do you think she wouldn't try? It was exactly because she couldn't see herself winning that she went through with such a strategy. This map is unfavorable for Sima Cheng, but Sima Cheng is still a pro player. I'm sure Tang Ru's confidence in her will act as motivation, not pressure. I hope so, Pan Lin replied. At this moment, the two female players unhappy, one coming down from the stage, the other heading towards the stage, met midway. The two girls didn't say anything. When they passed by each other, they gave a high five as if handing off the torch from one player to another. Neither of them turned back as they continued forward. Tang Ru went back to her seat. Su Mucheng went into the player booth. Chen Guo was extremely worried. Her concern for Su Mucheng was extraordinarily abnormal. She was concerned for her as a friend and as an idol that she worshipped. Hey! She yelled at Yishu. Yishu turned his head. How will it turn out? Chen Guo said. Yishu understood what she meant. His expression wasn't too carefree either. This map isn't good for launchers. Then what can she do? Chen Guo said. Even if it's not easy to play, she's still got to do it, Yishu said. Stupid. Chen Guo rolled her eyes. It might sound stupid, but it was the truth. There were countless times where the matchup was bad or the fight seemed unwinnable, but giving up and getting discouraged was never the solution. She'll win. Chen Guo could only tell herself this. The match began. How unfortunate to think you'd have to play on this map. Huang Shaoshan started chattering. He chatted, but he also hoped for the other person to talk back. When facing players like Mo Fan, Huang Shaoshan felt discouraged at times when he typed madly. As a result, he usually got excited when he met a player he was familiar with because it meant an actual conversation. It wouldn't be just him talking. But he immediately started by poking at Su Mucheng's weak point and didn't get a reply back. Why aren't you talking? Too much pressure? Huang Shaoshan continued. Where are you going to go? With a visibility of 20-25 units, are you going to the left or the right? Huang Shaoshan guessed. But I don't think you'll be that naive. With only 20-25 units to work with, will you be able to set up a firing line? If you can't, then I'm sure you know that closing this distance will be too easy for me. Huang Shaoshan chattered on and on. As for the firing line, everyone knew that the closer the distance, the harder it was to set one up. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. Launchers had slow attacks, so they need distance. At 20-25 units away, her attacks would need to be extremely accurate. Only by hitting the opponent would she be able to maintain a safe distance. But against Huang Shaoshan, no one dared to say that they would never miss. Huang Shaoshan was also confident. Last round, Tang Ru had taken out 37% of Troubling Rain's health, which was outside of Huang Shaoshan's expectations. He was feeling a bad premonition. No one could say that they could win 100% of the time, let alone when he wasn't coming in with 100% of his health. Huang Shaoshan felt a bit uneasy about this last round. But he did feel a lot better after seeing that his opponent was Su Mucheng. Li Yibo's analysis wasn't wrong. One of the reasons for choosing this map was to shut out Su Mucheng. Su Mucheng had plenty of experience and her skill was first class. Her character Dancing Rain was quite powerful too. Compared to Happy's rookies, she was a much more reliable choice. Happy didn't know what map Blue Rain chose, so it had been very likely that Happy would choose Su Mucheng. Su Mucheng really did come out in the final deciding round too. Huang Shaoshan's Troubling Rain may only have 63% of his health left, but everyone thought that he had a higher chance of winning. He had no qualms about using his map advantage to bully Su Mucheng either. Troubling Rain didn't take a roundabout route and took the central path. As he made his way to the center while chatting, Troubling Rain and Dancing Rain met. Huang Shaoshan was surprised. The viewers had noticed it, but he found out now. At this rate, it would be a face-to-face fight, and because of this map, launchers would lose their long-range advantage. 23 units. The two found each other at this distance. Under normal circumstances, launchers would feel that the distance was too close and would need to pull away. But in this map, Suma Chung could only take the fight at this distance. Huang Shaoshan was somewhat startled, but he didn't think much of it. The purpose of the map was to shut out Suma Chung. It could be seen that they had come prepared against Suma Chung. They didn't underestimate her just because the map was unfavorable for her. Under these limitations, how would she fight? They had studied this question too. At 23 units apart, Huang Shaoshan didn't think Suma Chung could give him any trouble. On the other hand, this distance would make her feel uncomfortable. Launchers feared close combat. The heavy armor and cannon slow down her movements, plus she didn't have close combat skills like sharpshooters did. If the launcher was closed in on, then the launcher need to run. "Watch my sword," Huang Shaoshan typed. After finding Dancing Rain, Troubling Rain rushed at her. A trace of blue was left in the dense fog wherever the sword swung. The sword light was like a storm as it swept towards Dancing Rain. Boom, boom, boom. 3 missiles flew out. Anti-tank missiles. This low-level skill was quite fast. But against Huang Shaoshan, how could a few missiles stop him? Blue light flickered amidst the fog. Troubling Rain turned slightly, avoiding the missiles. He didn't slow down as he continued forward. As for Dancing Rain, she used the recoil from the anti-tank missiles to fly backwards. She need to keep her distance no matter what. "Can you run?" Huang Shaoshan messaged. Suddenly, an explosion sounded from up above and
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1456. What type of player is she? Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1456. What type of player is she? Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. This is. Huang Shaoshan looked up. A heat-seeking missile pierced through the fog from above. How? The heat-seeking missile had come, but where was the heat source? Everyone looked at the scene and fell silent. Where was the heat source? From their omniscient view, it was clear as day. The heat source was next to Dancing Rain. The surface of the forest wasn't flat. Dancing Signal had placed the signal in a small pit in the ground behind her. This skill had activated before the anti-tank missiles. When Dancing Rain used the recoil from anti-tank missiles to fly backwards, the signal couldn't be seen from Huang Shaoshan's point of view. Boom! A small mushroom cloud bloomed in the forest. Compared to the thick smoke, the forest fog seemed thin and dreadful. Huang Shaoshan had Troubling Rain run as soon as he heard the explosion. But the missile moved faster than he could. He had noticed the heat-seeking missile too late, and it was no longer possible for him to dodge it. Troubling Rain only had time to take a single step before the missile landed in the pit near Troubling Rain. The rumbling mushroom cloud sent Troubling Rain into the air. 6%. Troubling Rain's health instantly dropped by 6%. Launchers had terrifying firepower, and this had been after Huang Shaoshan had Troubling Rain move away from the core of the explosion. If the full impact of the missile had hit him, he would have certainly lost more than 6%. Even so, just this 6% made Huang Shaoshan's heart ache. Troubling Rain had only started with 63% to begin with. He now only had 57%. Dirty. When did you become so dirty? Huang Shaoshan vented. Before Troubling Rain even landed back onto the ground, he sent a complaint to Suma Chung. Bang! His reply was another explosion from above. Stinger. The viewers had noticed it before Huang Shaoshan. Dancing Rain hadn't retreated too far using the anti-tank missiles. Seeing the heat-seeking missile hit, Suma Chung wasn't going to let this opportunity pass. The Stinger borrowed the smoke and dust as cover until it reached just above Troubling Rain's head. As Troubling Rain fell, the Stinger split apart in the air. Countless Stinger missiles descended, surrounding Troubling Rain. I already knew. A message leapt out. Troubling Rain swung his ice rain, and his character shifted horizontally. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The Stinger missiles brushed past Troubling Rain. Boom 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 boom. The Stingers exploded but only acted as a backdrop for Troubling Rain. Under the light reflecting from the explosions, Troubling Rain walked towards Dancing Rain. Was Huang Shaoshan intentionally slowing down the pace to make it more dramatic? Of course not. After noticing Su Muchung's craftiness, he didn't dare rush forward too hastily. He slowed the pace to more carefully observe his surroundings. I have the advantage. Huang Shaoshan was confident on this point. He stared at Dancing Rain's weapon and saw a bright sparkle suddenly light up like a star. Laser beam. The speed of light was incomparable, but Huang Shaoshan had reacted before the attack came out. Troubling Rain started making irregular movements, swaying left and right as if he were drunk. Pew! A laser beam tore through the air. Su Muchung had tried to predict where he would move, but Huang Shaoshan was swaying left and right without any logic behind his movements. Su Muchung could only gamble and see whether she could get lucky enough to hit Huang Shaoshan. Unfortunately, the laser brushed past him and missed. 7 steps. The distance between Troubling Rain and Dancing Rain was even steps, a distance that a launcher need to retreat from. Boom. A missile was fired. It was only a normal attack. The attack was secondary. Su Muchung was simply retreating with aerial cannon. Was it enough at 7 steps away? Many couldn't help but feel worried. Troubling Rain dashed through the explosion from the artillery shell. Triple slash. Huang Shaoshan didn't dodge and instead used triple slash. The first slash cut apart the missile. Although his character would take some damage, Huang Shaoshan clearly didn't care about it. He needed to stick close to her and establish his offensive tempo. The instant Su Muchung chose to retreat, he launched his assault. All caution flew out the window. He was like a red-eyed gambler who would throw everything he had regardless of anything else. This was his style. When an opportunity came, he wouldn't hesitate or hold back. He would do all that he could do to strike at his target. When it rains, it pours. Sword light. With a flicker, he reached Dancing Rain. Troubling Rain's approach was faster than Dancing Rain's retreat. Because he had actually used triple slash before Dancing Rain started to retreat. He had calculated the moment that Su Muchung would have no choice but to run and use aerial cannon to do so. Triple slash had been executed before that missile had been fired. This tiny difference helped Huang Shaoshan win this decisive opportunity. He triple slashed through the missile directly towards Dancing Rain. Moving with aerial cannon was faster than moving along the ground, but there was a flaw. The movement speed wasn't balanced, going from slow to fast. Triple slash had closed the distance during the slower portion of aerial cannon movement. But just when the third slash of triple slash was used, the final angle wasn't enough to strike Dancing Rain. I need another attack. The attack would need to be fast because Dancing Rain would reach her fastest speed soon, which would pull apart the distance between them. The opportunity to attack would only last an instant. Opportunity. Instant. These words always made Huang Shaoshan's blood boil. He loved this feeling. Fast, he need to be fast. Meteor form. The level 75 skill was the fastest blade master skill in her kit. The sword carried the user, and the user pushed the sword. A flash of blue light cut through the fog like a meteor. Pooh. The sound could barely be heard as if there was no time for the sound to resound. Blood wrapped around the trace of blue light as if a long wound had been drawn across the sky. Swift and accurate. Dancing Rain spun in the air from the sword's momentum. Troubling Rain turned around, ready to follow up. But the instant he turned, he saw Dancing Rain's weapon in front of him. Opportunity. Instant. whoosh, ourworldaudio.com The same keywords, but this time for Sumuchung. The meteor form had knocked her spinning in the air. Could she hit him? Boom. During her first spin around, Sumuchung attacked. The first rotation was the fastest, but also the moment when Huang Shaoshan would be most off guard. Huang Shaoshan saw the cannon flash and shoot out a missile at extremely close range. Launcher attacks had strong knockback. Forcefully taking the powerful attack was not a good idea. It would destroy his tempo. Huang Shaoshan did not take the blow. Having started with less health than her, he chose not to force his way through. Dodge, he could only dodge. Huang Shaoshan felt that it was a pity, but he maintained his cool. He dared to take risks, but he still knew how to be patient. He only took risks that he could afford to take. And right now, taking the risk would reap him no benefit, so he waited. Moved to the side. Huang Shaoshan had troubling rain dodged to the side, but soon afterwards, he felt his heart tighten. Dancing Rain had used anti-tank missiles. Given her situation, accurately hitting a target from her position was already very difficult, yet the anti-tank missiles fired were even lined up in a formation. By using the spin from meteor form, the 3 anti-tank missiles were lined up in a row, left, middle, and right, blocking off all of Troubling Rain's escape options. Boom. Troubling Rain was engulfed in a fiery explosion. Huang Shaoshan instinctively dodged, not thinking that Sumuchung could utilize the spin from meteor form. By the time he realized it, it was too late. Amazing. Pan Lin sighed. On the other hand, Li Yibo was dumbfounded. It had taken him quite a while to figure out how the anti-tank missiles had hit. If the previous heat-seeking missile was a dirty play exploiting the terrain, then this attack was a display of sharp precision and control. Sumuchung. How should she be evaluated? When she joined the alliance, she had joined the number 1 team and stood as the partner of the number 1 player in glory. No one started higher than she did. But afterwards, their team never took home another championship trophy. Because of her beauty, she always remained a popular player. But because of her beauty, there was always controversy surrounding her. For a lot of players, if they were surrounded by so much controversy, they would probably want to prove themselves as soon as possible. No. But she never did. She continued to play as a supporting character in excellent era. She was never impatient to make any stunning plays. Was Sumuchung reliable or not? It was difficult to give a clear answer. You could say she wasn't reliable, but she always performed solidly. You could say she was reliable, but it always felt like she was lacking something. Everything about her seemed to be consistent but never outstanding. When she played, what are her thoughts? Li Yibo was suddenly very curious. End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 1457. An aggressive Sumuchung. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1457. An aggressive Sumuchung. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Li Yibo had time to think about things carefully, but the players on stage did not. Sumuchung's brilliant technical display led to a successful strike against Troubling Rain, whose body hung suspended in the air due to the explosion from the anti-tank missiles. The recoil from these anti-tank missiles also shifted the tumbling Dancing Rain to the side. Even so, she wasn't going to let this opportunity go. Boom. Another missile flew into the air. Dancing Rain was still spinning, making it look like she had thrown it out. Even if it was a throw, it was an accurate one. The distance between the two players was too close. Troubling Rain had yet to escape from the anti-tank missiles hit stun before the new attack struck. The sound of metal cracking could be heard alongside the explosion. Armor-piercing missile. The skill dealt damage and reduced the target's defense. The sound of metal cracking indicated that Troubling Rain's light armor had been damaged, and his defense would temporarily be lowered. At max rank, armor-piercing missiles' effect lasted 8 seconds and reduced the target's physical defense by 30%. 30% was a considerable reduction. Launchers didn't have many attacks with special effects, and this skill was one that allowed him to deal more damage. The skill usually marked the beginning of a fierce assault. But Sumo Chung's Dancing Rain was still spinning in the air. Both the anti-tank missiles and the armor-piercing missile had been released consecutively in a short time frame. Could Dancing Rain keep up to the assault given her situation? She could. A bright pillar of light descended from the air just as people were beginning to show doubt. Not only did she attack, she used a powerful high-level skill, Satellite Beam. Everyone was shocked, especially the viewers who played launches. They knew just how unbelievable it was. Satellite Beam was a skill that was difficult to control and aim accurately. If she landed the satellite beam in her current state, then that would be even more astonishing than the previous anti-tank missile and armor-piercing missile. But she missed. Huang Shaoshan deserved his reputation. He wasn't able to dodge the previous armor-piercing missile because it had simply come too fast, but this satellite beam had a rather long start-up time. Although the previous attack had increased the hit-stun duration, it was just a tiny bit too short. Huang Shaoshan grasped that small opening. Lunge. It was a low-level skill. The damage was low and the movement it enabled was very short. But this sudden lunge was just enough to let Troubling Rain dodge the first part of the satellite beam. After that, he traversed through the smaller beams that split off. Downwind sword slash. Sword light flew out from Troubling Rain on his third step. A streak of blue crossed through the heaven and earth, but it was too hard to see what it was exactly because it was soon covered in dark red. Hit. The airborne Dancing Rain had nowhere to run to. The recoil from her previous attacks had reduced much of her spinning, and her position in the air wasn't too clear. From a certain perspective, this downwind sword slash removed Dancing Rain's knock-up status effect, sending her flying towards a tree. Although Sumo Chung hastily had Dancing Rain shoot twice, it wasn't able to stop the momentum from Troubling Rain's attack. The tides of battle instantly shifted again. No one had expected this Blade Master and Launcher battle to turn out this way. According to common knowledge, when Blade Masters and Launchers fought, the Launcher ran while the Blade Master gave chase. If the Blade Master caught the Launcher, the Blade Master won. If not, the Launcher won. Right now, the Blade Master and Launcher were fighting an even battle at such close range. To be able to make such an abnormal situation happen, Sumo Chung was undoubtedly deserving of praise. Fighting at close range was extremely unfavorable for launchers, but through impeccable timing, Sumo Chung was able to use this close range to send out attacks that were harder to dodge. These successive attacks worried Blue Rain's fans. They were unexpectedly worried for Huang Shaoshan in close combat against a launcher. When they thought about it again, they found it hard to believe. Dancing Rain had finally been hit flying by Troubling Rain, giving everyone a little bit of room to relax. In reality, the previous exchange had been very quick. From beginning to end, it had taken less than 10 seconds. But those 10 seconds were so filled with content that it would take more than 10 minutes to digest. The match continued. Sending Dancing Rain flying was just a start. Troubling Rain quickly gave chase. Shadow steps. This time, Huang Shaoshan used shadow steps to prevent Sumo Chung from tricking him. No matter how familiar Blue Rain's players were with this map, there was no way they could have anticipated that Sumo Chung would place a signal in that little hole. What's more, the terrain would undergo changes from the previous battles in the group arena. Who knew if that hole had come with the map or if it had been created? All sorts of tricks could be employed in this map. As for Sumucheng, Huang Shaoshan admitted that he had taken it too easy at the start, probably because his opponent had been a launcher. He couldn't help it. That isn't right. Huang Shaoshan scolded himself. He had known Sumucheng for quite some time. He knew how crafty she could be. Shadow steps. In order to get close to her, Huang Shaoshan had used 7 shadows to surround Dancing Rain. This time, he wasn't careless. He blocked off every retreat path. Sumucheng would most likely send out attacks as she fell to use aerial cannon to adjust her positioning. Boom. As he expected, Dancing Rain sent out attacks. With 7 shadows, Sumucheng didn't know which one was real. She could only use these attacks to help push her Dancing Rain away. These movements had been within Huang Shaoshan's predictions and he quickly reacted. Sword draw. Whether the shadow was real or fake, all 7 sent out sword slashes towards Dancing Rain. Which one was real? Which one was fake? Sumucheng had no way of telling. Even if she could, she wasn't like a bird who could fly nimbly through the air and dodge the attack. As a result, Sumucheng abandoned her defense and had Dancing Rain take out a Gatling gun. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. A string of bullets rapidly fired, practically the moment Dancing Rain was hit. Sumucheng immediately deduced where the real body was. As Dancing Rain flew back, she aimed her gun and fired towards the real Troubling Rain before the drops of blood even hit the ground. Poo 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 poo. Several bullets struck Troubling Rain. With Gatling guns firing speed and this distance, it wasn't possible for him to dodge. As Dancing Rain flew back, the bullets were focused on Troubling Rain. The burst of bullets made Troubling Rain look like a ragdoll. It was true that Gatling gun was a low-leveled skill, but it still did considerable damage when all of the bullets landed. Everyone was awestruck, including Team Happy and Chen Guo. She had already forgotten to cheer and become excited. She was completely shocked. WuxaWorldAudio.com. Aggressive. Sumucheng fought extremely aggressively. She didn't know which shadow was real, so she used herself as a testing stone and then made an aggressive counterattack, making both sides suffer from the exchange. She had been trying to run the entire time, but running away wasn't a choice she made because she was sacred. Throughout this entire match, she seemed to have no fear of engaging in close combat, and she didn't act like a typical launcher who decisively chose to run as soon as the opponent got near. In close combat, she tried every way she could think of to display a launcher's power. She didn't yield an inch as she attacked her opponent. Her aggressiveness had caught Huang Shaoshan off guard. He had never met a launcher like this before. He had never seen Sumucheng play like this before either. Despite his shock, Huang Shaoshan maintained his composure. Troubling Rain had lost another 9%, but this time, Huang Shaoshan didn't lose the trade. Meteor Form, Downwind Sword / Sword Draw. These 3 fast skills had taken out 11% of Dancing Rain's health. But overall, Troubling Rain only had 48% health left while Dancing Rain still had 89%. There was a 41% health disparity and Sumucheng was playing abnormally aggressive. Huang Shaoshan didn't dare act blindly. With less health, he didn't dare make too many trades, but Sumucheng's aggressive playing was showing that she intended on doing so. In the previous group arena round, he didn't want to trade to conserve as much health as possible for Happy's 5th player, but Tang Rou forcefully made trades to make him lose health. Right now, Sumucheng was utilizing this point to make things difficult for Huang Shaoshan. Last time, he didn't want to make trades so he could keep himself healthy. This time, he didn't want to make trades so he could keep himself alive. 48%. Health wasn't just troubling Rain's life, but Team Blue Rain's last life in the group arena. Huang Shaoshan no longer gave chase. Troubling Rain turned and disappeared into the fog. He had given up on chasing after her relentlessly and decided to be more tactical. He wanted to ambush her, which meant the first thing he needed to do was to go into hiding. End chapter.